I have high expectations, and I'll never apologize for that. And these fans deserve a great team, and they deserve a championship brought to the city. And that's what we're going to work towards. And I'm prepared to make the hard decisions to hopefully get us there sooner. This team has a bright future. We have Rand, we have a promising young quarterback. I mean, the sky's the limit. We've got cap space, we've got a great draft position. Things are bright for the Titans. I'm really very, very optimistic, and I'd like to thank the fans for hanging with us this year. Our season was unacceptable, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there sooner rather than later.
That's how every Titans fan is feeling about their owner right now. Absolute clown show being run in Tennessee. Obviously, Amy Adams Strunk's comments about the Titans aged horribly. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about what the Titans didn't tell you about Brian Callahan. Remember, Brian Callahan was hired in January of 2024 as he was set to replace Mike Vrabel at the head coach position. Of course, the Titans failed in spectacular fashion with Brian Callahan as their head coach. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Did the Titans make the right decision to fire Brian Callahan right now? I actually don't think that the Titans made the right decision to fire Brian Callahan at the current moment. I understand Brian Callahan was a terrible head coach. I understand Brian Callahan was not qualified to be a head coach in the NFL whatsoever. But you guys have to also realize that firing a head coach in the middle of the season does not really accomplish much of anything. Brian Callahan was hired on the Titans to build around a young quarterback. However, that young quarterback never really developed for the Tennessee Titans. At first, Brian Callahan took the job because he thought he could take Will Levis to the next step. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Will Levis regresses a lot under Brian Callahan's watch. The Tennessee Titans end up with the number 1 overall pick. Then they use that pick to select Cam Ward, and now Brian Callahan doesn't really have the ability to develop Cam Ward at the quarterback position. I understand why the Titans fired him now. I don't necessarily agree with it, though. I believe that Brian Callahan was really just a symptom of a much bigger issue going on with the Tennessee Titans. I believe the Tennessee Titans have an ownership problem. Amy Adams Strunk is way too involved in football decisions. You look at how she has been firing coaches and general managers left and right. You also think about how the Titans have been changing young quarterbacks, like how some people change babies' diapers. The Tennessee Titans constantly change the plan all the time. And when you have an organization that doesn't really have one plan whatsoever in both the short term and the long term, you're going to get disastrous results on the football field. I don't care if prime Vince Lombardi is coming to the Tennessee Titans. That team does not have the capability to be a championship contender. The Tennessee Titans have been doomed ever since Amy Adams Strunk decided to become more involved in football operations. She thinks she knows everything about football, but in reality, she actually knows nothing about football. Brian Callahan should have been given at least the opportunity to finish out the season. If not, then he should have been fired after last season. But obviously, you don't fire a head coach after one season unless the team loses faith in the locker room with said head coach. Obviously, Brian Callahan did not lose the locker room. Now, I'm not saying Brian Callahan didn't gain the locker room with massive respect. I'm not saying that people were fired up to play for Brian Callahan, but people felt neutral about Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan should have been given the right to finish out the season. He at least should not have been fired in favor for Mike McCoy. It's not like Mike McCoy is some young up-and-coming interim head coach who is looking for an opportunity to become a permanent head coach in the National Football League. Mike McCoy has already proven that he is a failure as an NFL head coach. He already did that with Phillip Rivers on the San Diego Chargers. I don't really know what else there is to see with Mike McCoy as the interim head coach. That was a dumb decision by the Titans to fire Brian Callahan right now. That being said, though, Brian Callahan did himself no favors during his time on the Titans. I also want to show you guys this clip of Brian Callahan's post-game victory speech after the Titans beat the Cardinals. I want you guys to see and hear the lack of energy the Titans players seem to have with Brian Callahan's speeches. That is a huge problem with what I believe in, because if Brian Callahan was truly beloved by the players, they would be getting fired up after their first win. Instead, the Titans look like they couldn't really care less. Roll the film.
All right, fellas. Listen up, man. That's exactly what we needed. We had to show that we could fight for 4 quarters and make the plays necessary to win the game. And you just saw, it's not pretty. Sometimes some gotta go your way. But you guys kept fighting, and you fought every snap from start to finish. You guys deserve that. You guys deserve that. And listen, it's just one. It's just one. Right? We want to stack, and we want to keep going. And if we keep playing like that, and you guys keep fighting like that, everything's going to be just fine. All right, so you guys enjoy this one, man. Turn the music up.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. That nigga's tripping.
Wow. I mean, wow. You want to talk about a lack of inspiration in the locker room? Those players certainly did not feed into Brian Callahan's energy whatsoever. And look, I understand those players probably felt like they got super lucky against the Arizona Cardinals, but can you show your head coach a little bit of respect, at least publicly? I mean, come on. Those players look like they could not care less. And when you have a head coach that cannot motivate and connect to his players, you're not going to have success on the football field. Brian Callahan was certainly set up to fail, but I also believe Brian Callahan did nothing to indicate that he would become a good head coach both in the present and in the future. Brian Callahan did nothing positive for the Tennessee Titans. All he just did was throw blame around his young players during post-game press conferences, and when he didn't do that, he really didn't say anything much of inspiration. You look at how Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions, he's always firing up his guys week in and week out, and you see how those players respond hard for Dan Campbell. I don't really see that for Brian Callahan on the Tennessee Titans, which makes me kind of wonder, how did Brian Callahan do so well during his interviews to be a head coach in the National Football League? And the answer to that question should be relatively simple. That's because ownership wanted a yes man. Ownership wanted to get more involved with the Titans football operations, and they figured that Brian Callahan would be an easy person to use as a puppet man, which is exactly what Brian Callahan was here for. Well, you reap what you sow, and the Tennessee Titans are paying the price for getting rid of Mike Vrabel so quickly. Brian Callahan won a grand total of 4 games on the Tennessee Titans. Well, guess what? Mike Vrabel already has 4 wins on the New England Patriots this year alone, and he didn't even have a head coach gig last year. The Tennessee Titans got owned from top to bottom. They have an organizational problem. The coach certainly didn't help whatsoever, but when you have an organization that is as involved as the Tennessee Titans are, well, yeah, you're not going to have good results on the football field. It's plain and simple. They're a dysfunctional organization, and Brian Callahan getting fired was just literally damage control at this point. I'm not saying that Brian Callahan was a qualified head coach, but damn, you should have let him finish out the year. As far as what the Titans didn't tell you about Brian Callahan, they're not telling you that Brian Callahan was used as a puppet for what the Titans were trying to do organizationally speaking. Amy Adams Strunk had a plan for the Titans to get more exciting on offense, and that failed spectacularly. The Titans did not get more exciting on offense. In fact, they actually regressed on offense without Mike Vrabel as their head coach. So that is why the Titans did not make the right decision to fire Brian Callahan right now, as there is nothing good that comes out of firing a head coach during the middle of an NFL season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @DustinStran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinStran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinStran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below. check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.